Hello, guys. I am Olivia here. Today, I will tell you about how my life was almost ruined by my sister Kiera. Kiera is older than me and used to be my father's favorite child. Yeah, he had openly admitted that. Before you gasp about it, let me tell you something. My father wasn't the brightest or the nicest person to exist. Before he married my mother, he was heavily into gambling and drugs, which destroyed his life. Most of his family cut him off, and he got himself into debt all the time. Things only improved after my mother got pregnant with my sister Kiera. My father had a come to Jesus moment and decided to get clean. However, he remained poor. The only thing he did was buy a small trailer home for us. Now, my mother passed away at my birth. There were some serious pregnancy complications, and my father didn't have enough money to pay for good care. My mother died due to complications and left me under my father's and sister's care. However, the sad thing was that the two of them blamed me for her death. While my father wasn't vocal or anything, my sister was. All my life, she hated me and bullied me for this. My father never did anything or punished Kier. I guess he too blamed me for a long time. However, when he was on his deathbed, he did confess that he regretted treating me badly. He had gotten back to drinking and basically had liver cancer, which couldn't be cured. He passed away pretty suddenly one day. But before he died, he had held my hand and told me not to worry, and that he had made arrangements for me, since I was still a minor. That very night when my father died, when we came back home from the hospital, Kiera walked up to me and said this: "When do you plan to start looking for a place to stay?" "What do you mean, Kiera? Why would I need to look for a place to stay?" "Well, Dad is already gone. Where will you live now?" "So what does it have to do with anything? I will stay here. This is my house." Kiera started to laugh at me when she heard that. I just looked at her wearily while she laughed her heart out. I was already in a mentally vulnerable state, and seeing my sister laugh at me was not sitting right with me. I didn't even know what was so funny about what I said. I just silently stood there and waited for my sister to finish laughing and tell me what was going on in her head. When she finally stopped, she said, "Oh, my poor sister. Did you really think that this will be your house now?" "No, that's not what I meant. We are both Dad's heirs, so we will both get a share of the house." "Would you hear that? My poor little sister thinks that the house will be hers." Tell me something, Olivia. Can minors own houses in this country? Well, no, they can't own houses in this country. But wait, I have one more question for you, Olivia. I am not done yet. Tell me, can minors live on their own in this country? Kiera said this with a nasty smirk on her face. Immediately, I felt my blood run cold. I was suddenly reminded of the fact that I legally cannot be on my own. I was actually at my sister's mercy. My father's lifestyle made all our relatives steer clear of him. We hadn't had contact with anyone in over a decade and a half. We never knew my mom's side of the family because they had shunned him too. So technically, we had no family except each other. Now, my sister was hinting that I was at her mercy and she could throw me out whenever she wanted. She was also hinting that this was what she was planning. Still, I didn't want to believe that my sister would do something so cruel to me. I was desperately clinging onto the hope that my sister wouldn't toss me out like trash. My voice shook and I had tears in my eyes as I said, "What are you trying to say, Kiera?" "I think you already know what I am trying to say. Dad has left this house to me because I am his eldest child. If that's true, he would have expected you to house me and take care of me till I turn 18. And what makes you think he can enforce that? He's gone, Olivia. Now it's up to me to decide if I want to house you or not. And I have decided that I don't want to raise you or house you at all." Hearing this hurt more than you could imagine. I had already lost my dad, and now I was given another blow that I couldn't take. My father wasn't the best person on this planet, but at least he had housed and fed me. Even if I wasn't the eldest or favorite child, he made sure that I had the basic necessities to live. Yes, he had neglected me, but he hasn't kicked me out or left me to fend for myself. So when he was gone, I became very vulnerable in every sense of the word. I was a minor and needed someone to shelter me, at least till I became an adult. I had naturally assumed that my sister was going to take me in, but she told me that she wasn't going to be responsible for me, so I needed to make other arrangements. I started to cry when she said those words out loud. Then I said, "Wait, so you are planning to throw me out the streets?" Well, I can't just toss you out, even if I want to. I have decided that I am going to be a little understanding. I am going to give you time to find someone to take you in and become your guardian. That's not possible, Kira. You know that. We didn't have anyone besides our father. He is dead now. I don't think anyone would want me. Now, that is sad, Olivia. Too bad that's not my problem. If you can't find anyone to take you in, I guess you will be going to foster care or an orphanage now. The full reality of my situation started to dawn on me. I knew what my sister said was right. If she refused to look after me, I would either be in foster care or on the streets. As for finding other people to keep me, it's not that easy. I knew that the authorities won't just allow random people to take me in. It's not like I knew anyone competent. My friends were underage just like me, and I had no family. My sister was my only option. If I was an adult, I wouldn't have thought twice before moving out, but I simply wasn't going to survive on my own, so I swallowed my pride and started to beg my sister not to throw me out. I said, "Please don't do this, Kiera. You know you are the only one I have. Where will I even go? No one will take me in. That is not my problem, Olivia. You should have thought about things before. How was I supposed to know that our father would pass away so soon? We had no way to know." Again, Olivia, that is not my problem. Don't say that, Kiera. I am your sister. I am your responsibility now. Don't you feel even a little sorry for me? No, I feel nothing for you. And you are not my responsibility. Just because we are biologically related, that doesn't mean I am obligated to care for you. Besides, why would I spend money on someone I didn't even care about? I knew Kiera wouldn't like to spend even a cent on me. I knew that very well. I didn't expect my father to leave us money because he probably didn't have any savings. Whatever was left would go to medical bills. So I wouldn't have any money to offer to my sister. However, I did have a plan. I was planning to work 2 jobs to support myself. I wouldn't be selfish enough to depend on my sister for money. I was ready to pay for myself. I thought maybe if I said this, she would agree to keep me with her till I was 18. So I said to her, "You don't have to spend money on me, Kira. I will get a job and pay for everything. All I am asking you is to become my guardian and let me stay at the house till I am 18. And then what, Olivia? What happens after you turn 18? I will be able to live on my own legally. You wouldn't have to be my guardian. I promise. I will be out of your hair once I am done with school." Well, there is no guarantee you will do what you say. I don't trust you anyway. Besides, this is all too much hassle. I don't want to ruin my life with all that. Please, Kiera, you have to understand my position. I promise I won't disturb you. You wouldn't even know that I am home. That's not going to happen, Olivia. My boyfriend will be moving into this house soon. I don't want you around in case you get ideas for seducing him. This house is not big enough for the 3 of us anyway, so you will need to leave. I cried a lot and kept begging my sister not to do this to me. She laughed at me a little and called me pathetic before walking off to her room. I was a mess that night. I had already cried a lot after getting the news that my father had passed away. I was emotionally drained, cried for hours, and had no food in my system. I was also given 2 devastating pieces of news on the same day, which would ruin my life. I didn't know what to do or where to go. Sure, I called my friends after my father passed, but all they could do was reassure me and sympathize with me. They didn't have the power to do anything to remedy my situation. I was all alone and suddenly felt like my life was ending. I fell asleep crying that night and didn't wake up till noon. After I woke up, I kept trying to beg my sister to change her mind. I kept following her around the house and cried. She kept ignoring me and talking to her boyfriend. She was making all kinds of plans with her boyfriend. She even talked about turning my room into their home gym after they kicked me out. I know that she did it on purpose. She always enjoyed hurting me, and seeing me sad gave her joy. She had probably decided to follow through with her plans as well. Kiera was sure that the house would be hers and I would have no share of it. But God had other plans for her. 2 days after my sister told me to leave the house, something unexpected happened. Dad's funeral was supposed to take place the next day, so Kiera was busy with all the preparations. Since she was the eldest and Dad's favorite, she thought that only she could make the funeral arrangements. Kiera didn't want or take any input from me, even though I was his biological daughter as well. Nope, she was only taking her boyfriend's help and setting everything up. I was also pretty sure she was the only one who had talked to the layers handling my dad's will. But it turns out there were a lot of things that I didn't know. The biggest secret that I discovered was enough to blow everything out of proportion. I was at home stressing over my housing situation since Kiera had told me to empty the place within the next week. I was going out of my mind with everything, so I didn't even have the energy to make myself food. I remember that Kiera didn't cook for me, as she never did. She had gone out for breakfast with her boyfriend, so there was nothing to eat. I was miserably lying in my bed when the doorbell rang. I opened the door to come face to face with a pregnant woman. She was smiling at me and looked awfully familiar. However, her smile faded a little when she got a close look on her face. Her eyes dimmed a little while she said, "Oh, you look horrible. I guess everything happened so suddenly that you weren't able to cope well. You have no idea how right you are about this. My father died, and my sister told me that she is going to kick me out of the house soon." What, are you serious right now? Yeah, I am serious. You can go ask my sister. Are you sure this isn't a misunderstanding? Why would your sister do this, Olivia? I am sure she loves you and won't do anything like this. I started to laugh bitterly when Allie said that. She was acting more like a concerned sister than my own sister. Her words were like a stab to my heart. A random stranger felt bad for me, while my own flesh and blood were treating me as poorly as possible. I laughed because I didn't have it in me to cry anymore. I was feeling weak and unloading my troubles to a random stranger who probably had the wrong house or something. I realized this part soon and felt embarrassed telling the woman about everything when I didn't even know who I was. So I controlled my laughter and said, "Well, you don't know my sister. God, I don't even know why I am telling you all this. I don't even know your name or why you are here. My name is Allie, dear, and I know that you are Olivia. I didn't think I would find you so miserable, but don't worry. I will take care of you. You won't have to stress out about anything. I am sorry, but who are you? Your words sound reassuring, but I don't even know you. You are not supposed to know me, Olivia. That's why I have come to introduce myself. You already know my name, but you don't know who I am. Well, I am your sister." I gave Allie a funny look because I didn't know what to say to that. Allie looked super excited when she said that she was my sister. I was so mentally drained that it took me some time to process what she said. I kept staring at her, thinking that I had misheard what she said. I shook my head a little and said, "Wait, did you just say that you are my sister?" "Yes, Olivia, I am your sister." That's what I said because it's true. "Are you like a cousin or something?" "No, Olivia, I am your sister by blood. I am not a cousin. Although you can say that I am your half sister." "Oh, no. I already have a sister. Kiera is my sister. She is the oldest of my father's kids. My mom's dead and she never had a child before Kiera." "Well, you are right about your mother, but not about your father. Or I should say our father, because I am also his child. I am his firstborn daughter. So that makes us sisters." My mind was reeling when I heard what Allie said. There was no way I would have believed that outright. I was of the opinion that my father would have told me if there was another one of us lying around. But he always said that Kiera and I were her two daughters. Never once had he even hinted that he had another daughter somewhere out there. So when Allie said that she is my sister, I immediately started to think that she was lying. But I didn't even have to say my thoughts out loud. Allie said, "Ooh, I know what you are thinking. You must be having a hard time believing this, but I promise you that I am not lying, Olivia." How can I believe you? Dad never told us that we had another sister. I know that, Olivia. I know you have a lot of doubts and questions. I can answer them all if you give me time. For now, I can show you some proof to ease your mind. Here, check these out. Allie then showed me a few pictures of her and my father. I was shocked to see those pictures. My father was there attending some events in Allie's life. She also showed me countless texts between the two. I knew Dad's phone number by heart, so I knew that Allie hadn't faked anything. She had plenty of proof that Dad was also her father. The most convincing piece of evidence was her birth certificate, which had my father's name on it. I took one look at all of these things and knew that Allie wasn't lying. After my initial shock subsided, I invited Allie inside the house to talk to her more. She was showing a little, so I knew she was pregnant. Even my muddled brain knew that I shouldn't keep her standing outside in the heat for long, so I brought her in and told her to have a seat. She seemed to be very excited to be in the house and to have my company. However, I still haven't gotten over my initial shock. I said, "I am sorry for bothering you like this, but you need to tell me everything. I never knew about you. Did you know about me? Why did our dad never say anything to us?" That is a lot of questions, Olivia. I will answer them to the best of my knowledge. So, yes, I did know about you. You guys didn't know about me, probably because I wasn't ready to meet you guys before. I don't understand. You didn't want to be in our lives? It's not easy to explain, Olivia. Dad wasn't present at my first, as he was at yours. I know that you and Kiera had grown up with Dad, but that wasn't the case for me. I didn't see him until I was 17. Slowly, it became clear to me why we had never heard about another sister while growing up. I mean, since she was his oldest child, Dad should have told us about her when we were growing up. He had always called Kiera the oldest child. Now I knew that Allie came into his life much later. I was curious about this and asked, "What? So Dad wasn't around when you were growing up?" No, he wasn't around. He had pretty much skipped town after getting my mom pregnant. He didn't know that my mom was pregnant. He was just not ready for commitment, so he left. My mom, tried to reach him, but there was no way she could. He did tell us that he had lived in many cities before settling down with my mother. Yeah, he had to move because of his debts. You know that he had a gambling addiction and a drug problem, right? I knew that, Allie. Dad always told us how awful he was before he met our mother. He was mostly clean, except for the alcohol. Now you know why my mom never pushed me to get in touch with Dad. She was fine raising me on my own. Dad accidentally found out about me through his old Franz. That's when he decided to come down and visit me sometimes. That explains why he was gone from home so much. Yeah, he wanted me to come back here and meet you guys, but I always refused. I was having a hard time coping with everything. So I asked for time and space to be ready. I am sorry it took me so long. I am also sorry about our dad. I wish we had more time together. All of us. Allie talked about her time with our father while I did the same. The two of us cried for a little before sobering up. It was clear that Dad wasn't the father of the year, but he did try his best with us. He didn't abandon us on purpose. It just happened. Please don't mistake my words. I am not defending him or excusing his behavior. I am just saying that he wasn't a complete monster. He loved us in his own way, I guess. Allie had realized that too. Allie and I talked for an hour, but it was mostly about our father. We talked about both the good times and the bad. She also told me about her mother and her husband who had accompanied her and was staying at a nearby hotel. She was well settled in life with a great man and a baby on the way. After we talked, I felt at ease, and so did she. But after a while, Ali suddenly sobered up and said, "We will have more time to talk about me and our father, Olivia. Tell me about Kiera. I am quite disturbed by what you told me outside. Is it true? Is she really trying to kick you out?" "Yeah, she told me yesterday that I have a week to move out. But where will you go? You are just a minor." Well, she suggested foster care or the orphanage. It will most likely be the second since people don't want older kids like me. "Oh, come on, Olivia. Nothing of that sort is going to happen. This house is still here, and I know that our dad owned it. You can just stay here." "But my father is dead, Ali. This house now belongs to Kiera. Besides, even if it didn't, I would need an adult to be my guardian. Kiera doesn't want that, and I have no other family to go to." That's not true. You have me, remember? You? You will take me in? Yeah, why not? I am your half-sister, right? I won't allow Kiera to kick you out either. But she can, since the house is hers now. Dad always talked about how he would leave Kiera the house since she was the oldest. He thought that she could care for me. Besides, she was his favorite. Oh, you are wrong about that, Olivia. There are some things you don't know, but I do. I I don't like seeing you this distressed. So I will tell you everything. After that, we will make some preparations for our other sister. I told Ali everything about my and Kiera's relationship. She had been very patient with me and let me pour my heart out. She also comforted me throughout this whole ordeal. Frankly speaking, I finally felt like I really had a big sister in my life. A big sister who protects and cares rather than one who bullies and torments. Telling Ali everything helped me feel much better. It was like a weight was off my chest. I cried, but also took comfort in Alice's arms. She even made me some food after I told her that I hadn't eaten since the previous night. I felt so bad for making a pregnant woman cook, but Ali only laughed and told me not to worry about anything. Ali didn't stick around to meet Kiera. She was supposed to be present at the funeral after my dad's lawyer had contacted her. That was how she knew about his passing. So Ali and Kiera would have met at the funeral. Ali had come to the house before to avoid drama, but after listening to the whole story, she realized that drama would be inevitable, so she went back to the hotel to prepare her next steps. She did tell me more about Dad's will and what we could do to teach Kiera a lesson. You can bet that I was elated to know everything. I kept my mouth shut and didn't tell Kiera about Ali when she came home, and I didn't tell her what I knew about the will. The next day, Kiera and I went to Dad's funeral separately. She left with her boyfriend while I was forced to make my own arrangements. A friend took me there and stayed with me for support. When I went to the funeral home, I saw Ali there with her husband. I went to greet her and the two of us cried a little. Kiera gave us a nasty look, but didn't say anything until the funeral was over. Once it was done, she angrily approached us and said, "Wow, Olivia, I really didn't know who gave you the permission to invite strangers to our dad's funeral. This is Ali here, Kiera, and I assure you that she is not a stranger. She had a connection to her dad. Whatever, I don't care. If she is going to take you in and raise you, she can be my guest. Actually, you are right. I plan to take Olivia in and become her guardian." That's great. In that case, you can take her away from my house today itself. I want her to leave my house as soon as possible. I don't think she will be going anywhere, Kiera. You can't toss her out of the house. Also, I don't know why you are calling it your house when it isn't. Ali was making some string statements, and Kiera wasn't liking this one bit. I was standing with Ali and enjoying the show. She took over the conversation and made sure Kiera couldn't bully me. Finally, someone was standing up for me. Kiera wasn't happy about it as usual. So, in an annoyed and angry tone, she said to Ali, "Listen here, lady. My dad is dead and he has left the house to me. Since Kiera has no part of it, she is not welcome to stay." "She is your sister, Kiera. Are you really going to kick her out and have her be on her own?" She is just a minor. Whatever, I don't take care of strays. You look like you belong to a decent household. You can keep her if you want to do some charity. She is not welcome in my home. How are you so sure that the house was left to you? Well, I am Dad's oldest daughter and his favorite. Olivia can't own a house since she is a minor. So, of course, the house will be left to me. That's where you are wrong, Kiara. You are not his oldest daughter. I am his oldest daughter. And no, he didn't leave the house to you. He left the house to me. On hearing this, Kiara's eyes went wide as saucers. It was actually very funny to look at the way her expression changed. She didn't believe it, of course, but Allie had a remedy for that. Dad's lawyer was present at the funeral, so she called him over and asked him to read his will to us. In my dad's will, it was clearly stated that the house was supposed to go to Allie. He had also left a note which said that he owed Allie the house since he never paid her child support. He also knew about her pregnancy and wanted to leave a token of his love behind. Since I was a minor, he had appointed Allie as my guardian. Kiara heard and saw the will with her own eyes. The lawyer also assured her that the will is ironclad and nothing could be done about it. Dad had left Kiara and me his savings, which was a sum total of $4,200. That's all we got. I held no grudge because, according to me, he did the right thing. However, Kiara started to lose her mind over it. She screamed and cried about how this wasn't fair. She even got into Allie's face and said, "You are a thief. You have stolen my inheritance." I didn't steal anything, Kiara. The way I see it, I deserve it because Dad never paid child support while you grew up under his care. Dad understood that as well. Yes, I grew up with my dad. I was his favorite daughter because I am the oldest. You are no one. I have DNA reports to say otherwise, Kiara. It doesn't matter whether you like it or not. I am your half-sister. Shut up. You are no one to me. The house is mine, and I won't let you take it. Too bad I have other plans, Kiara. I will be serving you an eviction notice shortly. Olivia won't get one because she is a minor and I will be her legal guardian according to Dad's wishes. But you are an adult, so you need to leave. You better go home and start packing your bags, Kiara. Yup, just like that, Allie had turned the tables on Kiara. My sister went absolutely crazy, shouting profanities at Allie while crying and screaming. I did my part in telling the people who came about what Kiara had tried to do to me. No one agreed with her actions or took her side, so Kiara was all alone, crying and screaming. You can imagine what happened after the funeral. Kiara tried hard to stay back in the house, but Allie wasn't having it. She had served her an eviction notice and told her to leave. Kiara moaned and cried about it again, but nothing helped her case. Allie suggested that all of us go to family therapy, and after some progress, we can all stay under one roof. But Kiara denied that. She told us that she wanted nothing to do with either of us and only wanted the house. Well, she didn't get her wish. Kiara was forced to move out as she was handed a legal eviction notice. She couldn't do anything about it. I stayed in the house and recently finished school. Allie didn't stay with me all the time, but she did visit every week to check in on me. Since I was already 17, I didn't need adult supervision anyway. I went to work and school and stayed out of trouble. I got really great grades and am looking forward to going to college. Surprisingly, Allie and her husband have offered to sell the house and fund my college if I manage to get a good one. I have my fingers crossed so I can get into my dream college and make something of myself. Allie and I have become even closer than before, and I thank God for sending her to me in the right moment.